Hi, I'm Ken Bianco Jr. and welcome to TrainWorldTV. Today we have Mike Wolf from MTH Trains, President.
Nice to be here.
And thank you very much for coming. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and we get calls sometimes about customers asking about your HO product, HO trains. They run on DCC, and I kind of find it a little, I guess curious, but I'm just wondering why are people so confused, or why are they thinking that your stuff won't run on DCC? Because it's not true, right?
No, it's not true. All of our HO products run on DCC, and in fact now the new O scale, O gauge, even the regular that run on the Lionel track will run on DCC with ProtoSound 3.
Really?
But the evolution of DCC in the MTH trains we started with the DCS system, and our DCS system is a different kind of digital signal than the DCC. But we knew when we went into HO, because the majority of the market in HO is DCC. Right. So it will run on the Prodigy system, the NEC system, the Digitrax systems, the ESU system, the Markland command station, all DCC. DCC is a standard, and our trains will run on DCC.
Yeah, it's a great thing. I mean, your product, even though that it's called ProtoSound 3 and you have the DCS, it will run on DCC. So I guess the point we're trying to make here is, if you're looking at MTH HO products, don't be alarmed. It still runs on DCC. Your system, whatever system you have, don't worry, it's compatible. Now, tell me, if you could go through the history, because I know some people were confused, I guess, when you first started making engines, and there was maybe there's this preconceived notion out there that you can't get the full effect or the full features with your engines. Can you go dabble into that a little bit?
You know, DCS, we developed that in 2000, and it is 2000 technology. The processors that are in the engines are actually the same Texas Instruments DSP that's in the iPhone. It's a high-speed processor. Really? DCS is very high speed. You can literally take any of these HO engines, hook it to a DCS system, hook up your iPod to it, and play music in real time, and it'll come out of the train. You can talk through the trains. Cool. This is very high speed. Look, DCC is a great technology. It was developed in the 1970s.
Right.
And it talks in a different way. It uses the power to communicate when we're sending a digital signal down, mixed into the power. So they're different. But the reality is, our trains run on, now, the new ProtoSound 3 run on AC, DC, DCC, DCS, Motorola 1, Motorola 2. Motorola 1 and 2 are Markland European like DCC, but the commands are different. But the DCC has always been in our HO. When we got into the HO market, we knew we had to be into DCC. We also knew DCC is very complicated, and when you start to the programming, and we had in our trains, we had a speed table, that an 128 speed step DCC system. 1 is 1 mile an hour, 10 is 10 mile an hour, 30 is 30 miles an hour. So we set the trains so the guy can run at whatever speed he wants prototypically. So the speed table was adjusted. The lights were adjusted. So we thought, well, they don't really need all that. I mean, the main reason DCC was set up that way is people bought DCC-ready engines for the engine part, and then bought decoders from a second manufacturer. Well, the decoder had to be able to be adjusted, because you didn't know what motor was in the train when they sold the separate, which is still true today. All the separate decoders, the lights need to be adjusted depending on what voltage bulbs you have, what motor you have. You need to set the speed table up to adjust it to that. So they need to be adjusted. Our motors, our trains weren't. So in 2004, we came out with it. You were able to put a short address in them. You were able to change the acceleration, deceleration rate. You could change the extended address, but that was about it. And it was the main things that I could get up and run and change his address of the thing, and he'd be ready to go, because we didn't think he needed all that. But look, the market dictates what we do. And we started making steam engines, and really, the steam engine market, you don't double head them, and you don't run multiple trains together. So engine 3 was fine for a lot of steam engines. So when we announced the SD70 ACE, the biggest feedback we had is this thing needs to be full DCC. So we spent the money and the time and the software, and now we have feature mapping, advanced consisting, custom speed tables. There's 18 custom speed tables in each engine that's already built in, and then you can also go in and make your custom speed tables where you can adjust the PWM of the motor and the maximum voltage and the starting voltage of the motor. You can do all of that. That's all available in our system. You can access also, some people say, well, you can't access all the features. Now, there is a limit. DCC, the maximum number of F functions or functions you have with any DCC system is 28. That's the biggest. So we can take the top 28 functions that our engines do and set them to an F function. Now you can feature map those and put them on whatever F button you want. That's available in all of our engines now. We make the automatic coupler one of the functions. We look at the ones that are the most popular and put those in there. But now with the DCS system, you can't play music through it with DCC. You can't, you might not get the train wreck sounds. You might not get the odometer and the chronometer and the signal crossings. Those kinds of sounds that you can get. There's a lot of functions that DCS is capable of doing that quite frankly, DCC is not, and also the controllers that are on the market won't allow you to get to. So I don't want to say, I'm going to limit MTH to 28 functions. I'll give you, if you want a DCS system, in fact, this year, you're going to see an app on the iPhone, iPad. You're going to be able to run your DCS system. You can run your HO trains with your iPhone, your iPad, and then you're going to be able to put cameras around your layout. You're going to be able to go on vacation, and you're going to be able to run your trains like you can run your house nowadays with your iPhone. You can look at it, check in on your layout, and you can be in Germany and run the trains. You can have your buddy come in and run your trains. To me, that's going to get more young people into this hobby.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
I don't want it to. So the system is always going to have DCS in it because I believe in the future, young people are going to get in there. And if they make that choice, they have those options. But DCC will always be, and in fact, just recently, with the DCC, we spent more money in allowing these engines. Big club users came up to us at the NMRA convention and these big, where the big HO modelers were, and they were saying, hey, your engines, when we have these massive layouts and the detection systems that we know a train's on the main line, for example, or on this route, and you have a passing siding, and our engines, when their automatic computerized layouts would shut the power down on these loops until the main line was clear. And so when it got clear, when the thing got clear, the power would go back on that track. Well, the way our system is set up, it would just wait for the command. You'd have to start it up each time. Now, it's very cumbersome, and they didn't like that. They didn't want to have to, all their other trains don't work like that, and they told us about this actually software that Lentz put in not that long ago. It wasn't back in the 70s, but they put this in. So we followed that, and now that's in all the new engines that's coming in the new catalog. All the new releases are all going to have that. So we're going to continue to advance the DCC if there's something that people want, even that they don't have now. But every function and features, these lights, when you see this thing come on with the strobing lights, will I get that with DCs? Absolutely. All of the functions and features you're going to get, we're going to get you the top 28. That's all I can give you is the top 28. You're going to have an F function chart in every package, but it is true. They run on DCC. Okay,
so just a quick breakdown. Your MTH HO trains will run on any DCC operational system that the consumer out there may have, whether it's NCE, MRC, Digitrax. If you want more features, up to like 52 or something
50,
crazy
70,
like
some
that,
of our engines have up to 75 different sound.
You could go with the DCS. So you don't limit yourself to certain manufacturers. You could run MTH with anything out there.
In fact, this DCS Commander, which is our HO controller, has conventional mode. It's one of the best and most powerful. This is 100 watts, and that's a lot of power. You can run all the HO engines you can build a board for with this. You can run it conventionally. It's pure DC. If you looked at it on a scope, it's really good for your motors. Pure DC. It's got DCS for our system, but it also has this button called pass-through. That means you can take your DCC power brick that comes with your DCC system and wire it to this. That's your power supply. No longer the brick, but the DCC system. Now you can hit pass-through and you can continue to run with DCC. So now with this, you've got a DC power supply that will run if you have some old engines that are just a DC motor, no sound. You can run them. You can run your DCC controller, run your DCC, MTH engine or anybody else's engine, or if you want to get to some of those functions over 28 and you got DCS, you push the DCS and you're on DCS. So this controller makes it very flexible for the consumer who has some engines that aren't DCC, so they're not antiquated. You don't have to upgrade them. You can run them with this, and you can run your DCC engines and your DCS.
Now, before I let you go and off the hook, I know you're ready to shoot out of here and make your next big investment in trains, but the programming. Let's just go over that a little, because we get a lot of phone calls.
Absolutely.
People don't know how to program it, or they get it and they don't know what to do. So can we go over that a little bit?
Programming in DCC, your DCC system will have on the back of it, they'll have an output for programming. This has programming, and then it would have your power output. Now, what they do is they tell you back when there wasn't any sound engines, there were no sound engines whatsoever on the marketplace. And a guy set up a programming track, and the current output on the programming track is very low because you don't need much power. You're not pulling any cars. All you're doing is setting an engine on there and programming it. Now, the nice thing about a programming track is they have what we'd call in the digital world macros already programmed in. So if you want to do a program, you push a button, it does certain functions, manual functions in a sense, if you want to look at it that way, to change the address, for example. The problem is when sound engines started hitting the market, now you got sound, you got smoke, you got all the power it needs to power the amplifier for the sound. So if you've got a good sound system, you're going to need more power. Power is power, and you got for motors and all that. So you're going to set the train on the track, on the programming track. Well, it drops the current, and there's not enough current to program it. So you cannot get it to program on the programming track. So now in the DCC market, a lot of manufacturers sell boosters. Most of all these guys, Digitrax, they'll sell a booster, and the boosters are just for that, to raise up the current so you can program. The problem with the boosters, everybody's got their own boosters. Some boosters it will take. I could tell you, in a lot of cases, you can program our trains on a programming track with a booster, but sometimes it doesn't catch. And sometimes it doesn't save the thing, and it's frustrating. Unless I can tell you in my instruction manual or tell the guy to his face that it's going to work every time, then I don't want them to use that. So what we tell people is program on the main line. The main line where on the output is the output that you go to your track. Now, that does not have to be on a club layout on the literal main line. It can be a straight section of track just connected to where your track output is. That's a programming track. So you can make a siding on your layout, put an A-B switch onto it, and say this siding's for programming. Flip it to B, and now your track wires go to just that siding, and you can program on that. That's like programming on the main line. So now we know you have to program on the main line. The one thing is confusing that we get questions for is changing the address, because everybody needs to change the address. They come as 3, they buy a second engine, they want to double head it, and the first thing they're going to do is try to change the address. And now it isn't a simple way, but keep in mind this is technology in the 70s, and this is the way it was made. And so to do this with ours, you put it on the main line, you go to CV29, okay? And you got to change the value to 36 on bit 5. Now the guy might be right now. I was glossy-eyed when the guy was explaining it to me, but we have on our website.
Where can you go to get help?
We have on our website documents, and this will tell you how to program, change addresses